What's going on, guys? Today I wanted to bring you another one of my 2014 NAWCQ H.A.T format deck profiles. The deck I wanted to bring you today is Lightsworn Ruler, which is a very cool concept of a deck, and I know a lot of people really enjoy Lightsworn as a whole and Dragon Rulers, so this is kind of the best of both worlds, along with being able to, break through boards very easy, OTK opponents, and just do some really cool plays. So, without further ado, let's get into this deck profile. Starting off with the monsters, we play 3 copies of H.A.T, Judgment Dragon. This is your boss monster. Well, I should say one of them, because this deck does have a lot. If you've never seen this card before, basically it's a free special summon while you have 4 or more Lightsworns with different names in your graveyard. You can pay 1,000 life points and destroy all other cards on the field, and during the end phase it will mill 4 of your cards from deck. Super good card. After that, 3 copies of Lumina. Being able to discard cards in order to summon back your Lightsworns in graveyard is always good as extension, and also during the end phase it will mill 3. After that, 2 copies of Lila. This is basically your searchable main deck MST, as well as a level 4 light, which is very relevant for other reasons. And also it will mill 3 cards during the end phase. After that, Raiden, Hand of the Lightsworn, only 2 copies. This card is a very good starter card, as well as being a level 4 tuner, which is important for your synchro plays. 2 is just the right number, since you can recycle it with your other things. Also, since you have to fit so much into this deck, most topping lists do play 2, whether that's back in 2014 or in more recent H.A.T format tournaments. 2 seems to be the right play. After that, we play a bunch of one-ofs for the Lightsworns, just as additional names. 1 Wolf as an extender, and again, as that. 1 Jane, 1 Garath, being able to get extra mills and potentially other draws. 1 Aaron, let me fix that glare for you guys a little. 1 Aaron, really good against decks that set cards such as Geargia's, H.A.Ts, and things like that, just being able to reshuffle those. And the last Lightsworn, 1 Minerva, Lightsworn Maiden. Some builds won't play this. I've been testing it. I like it personally because it's another tuner and it's a level 3, so it lets you go into your level 7 synchros a lot easier. One other thing to note, other than I guess Garath on its own and Wolf, the other ones do mill cards as well. So for example, Minerva, when it's milled, it will also mill 1 additional card. It also has a cool effect that you can add a light dragon type monster with a level equal to the number of different Lightsworn names from deck to hand. It doesn't come up that often, but it technically is there as well. Moving on to the other part of the deck, 3 copies of Eclipse Wyvern. This is the card that kind of holds both sides of the Dragon Rulers and the Lightsworns together. Pretty much when it's sent to the graveyard, you can banish a level 7 or higher light or dark dragon type monster, so that can be, for example, like your H.A.T. And then when this card gets banished, which it will off of the Dragon Rulers or a couple other effects, you're able to add that banished card to hand. So this card is just insane. Besides the H.A.T, another card that you can banish off of that effect is Light Ray Diablos. Some builds will play 1, a lot of builds will play 2, simply because if 1 gets milled, you want to still have access to it. Basically, it can be special summoned when you have 5 or more light monsters in your graveyard, and then with different names, and then you can banish 1. So for example, banishing those Eclipse Wyverns, you can target a set spell or trap your opponent controls, reveal it, and then you can place it on the top or bottom of their deck, being able to stack their deck essentially. Really strong. After that, 2 Dragon Rulers. Some builds will play 3. the majority of lists that people go with are playing 2. The other Dragon Ruler they would play if they are playing the 3rd is Redox. Specifically, you're playing Blaster because he's the biggest, and you're playing Tempest because out of the other attributes, you play more winds, giving you more chances to potentially special summon it. And that's it for the Dragon side, basically. After that, we play 3 copies of Necro Garden. You're milling your deck like crazy, so having ways to protect yourself to then have good follow-up if you need to kill your opponent, for example, turn 3. This is really good. Some people will try Rainbow Karibo. I remember there was, I believe, a Nationals in Europe where people were playing Rainbow Karibo. I personally prefer Necro Garden simply because it can be activated at any point, where Rainbow Karibo specifically needs to be attack declarations and then some sorts, I believe, direct attacks. So I just prefer this. You could try, for example, just playing, usually they'd play 2 of it if they do play it. You could try 2 and 2, 1 and 2. I found this to be the most common ratio and the most enjoyable and best for me personally. After that, 2 copies of Curry Bandit. I think 2 is the perfect number. You don't want to see too many of these, especially since you have a lot of other normal summons in the deck, but being able to just send a bunch of your cards to graveyard is very, very powerful, and add a spell card, which you're playing a lot of power spell and traps basically, is really cool. And the last monster is just Honest because it's a good card basically. After that, spell cards. 1, Charge of the Light Brigade. It's at 1 in this format. It's a searcher. 3 copies of Solar Recharge, being able to draw 2 and mill 2. Again, super, super strong. 2 copies of Soul Charge. Most of your deck is doing the heavy lifting already, and you want to be able to OTK your opponent. So Soul Charge is really only good turn 1, and then maybe late game if you're falling behind slightly. But usually Soul Charge is more of a very, very last-ditch effort, and you're playing 2 just because, again, milling a lot of cards, you want to still have it in deck. 2 copies of Forbidden Lance. This just ensures that your plays are going to go through, especially since Breakthrough Skill and such is in the format. Summoning JD and having extra protection to make sure it's not going to have its effects negated or removed from the field is really strong. And the last spell, 1 Foolish, just to get anything you might need that's left in the deck, or even send Wolf as another body that you'll then have on field. Lastly, I only play 3 traps. There's no real common threads, I guess, with the extra deck for this deck and the trap lineup. One that I saw was a topping list that had this exact ratio, and I really enjoyed it, was 2 Needlebug Nest and 1 Breakthrough Skill. Moving forward, I might bump Breakthrough Skill to 2, just because it is so strong. I like the 2 of Needlebug Nest. Some builds will play no traps at all. Some will play 3 Needlebug Nest. Some will play like 2 Needlebug Nest and 2 Phoenix Wing Wind Blast, which is another option I enjoyed. Right now, just at the time of recording this was the build that I was kind of going with and I having a lot of fun and success with. But again, the biggest change I would make is probably playing another one of this. If I were to cut anything for it, I'd say maybe that Minerva Lightsworn level 3, but it's really just a matter of testing. That's it for the main deck. Moving on to the extra deck, I'll go through it kind of quickly because it doesn't need a lot of explanation. 1 Felgrand, making 8s does come up, as well as if you want to use a JD, I guess. 1 Draco Sack, 1 Big Eye, obviously rulers are level 7s. 1 Honor Arc, 1 Exciton, 1 Lavavel Chain to dump more pieces, 1 Dweller, just really good card in general. Then, because we are playing the Dragon Rulers and banishing things for a rank 3, we play 1 Leviair, and 1 Mech-Whip Engineer. Like I said, extra deck is all over the place in this. Different builds that I've seen online and topping tournaments from now and back in the day. Some will play Alucard or different Xyz. Like, for example, Starliege Paladynamo was a very popular rank 4, but not everyone played it. And that's it for the Xyz, though. After that, Star Eater, being able to make this with a Dragon Ruler and a Raiden, really cool. Leo as a level 10 option. Scrap Dragon to out things. Stardust, because there are matchups like, for example, Artifacts, where having a negate of a destruction is really good. 1 Michael, being able to banish cards, as well as recycle your Lightsworns and gain life if need be, is really cool. It's also a 7, so you could get the banish and then make a Dragon Ruler and go into a rank 7. And lastly, 1 copy of Black Rose Dragon. Just if, JD didn't do enough blowing up the board, you have another option. If you guys have questions about siding cards or siding patterns or want to see this deck in action, definitely let me know in the comment section and I'll try to make a video on that. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and I will see you in the next video.